Welcome back to Farage with me, Martin Dorby. Here's tonight's big question. Does Britain have a problem with creeping Islamism? We'll take a look at this video from last month. A police officer defending a Christian preacher's right to free speech while a group of Muslim men close in around him.
What's the moral of the story? Is they allowed to do whatever they do?
Yes.
But you see, there's a difference between hate and the freedom of speech. What he's doing is hate.
That's a full hate crime, man.
It's not.
Man, he's going fully against another religion.
Even saying it doesn't
We don't have control.
And this is Islam, this is Whitechapel, Bengali area also, Muslim area.
By the way, full credit to that WPC there for standing her ground and standing up to the mob. We need more like her. Now, today, the Free Speech Union, they launched legal action over the government's proposed definition of anti-Muslim hatred, warning it risks creating a backdoor blasphemy law. Now, the group argues that the definition is ambiguous, subjective, and has the potential to stifle legitimate criticism of Islam. Now, this comes on the very same day it's emerged that Labour-run councils across the country and ostensibly across the north of England have issued guidance to schools, warning school pupils, even in junior schools, not to draw, dance or play music if it could breach interpretations of Islamic or Sharia law. Now, one of those councils, astonishingly, covers Batley Grammar School. That's Kirklees Council, where a teacher remains in hiding 5 years after showing pupils an image of the Prophet Muhammad during a RE lesson. It's an astonishing situation. Have we got a problem with creeping Islamism? Well, who better to join me than Nissar Hussain, a man himself who was forced into hiding by Islamist intimidation after converting from Islam to Christianity. Nissar Hussain, it's a pleasure to have your company. Thank you very much for joining us on the show tonight. Mr. Hussain, before we get on to the broader question of the bigger problem, will you please, if you don't mind, explain your incredible story to GB News viewers and listeners? What happened to you?
Yeah, thank you, Martin, for having me, actually, and giving me this opportunity. I converted to Christianity in 1996. But I have to make clear, I'm born and raised in this country. So I'm first generation born to Pakistani immigrant parents in 1965, okay? So I grew up with British freedoms and all things British. However, I converted, as I say, to Islam in 1996. No sooner did I convert that my family and I were terrorized. We suffered acts of terrorism over 2 addresses. This is whilst I was living in Bradford. I'd moved from Birmingham, settled into my nursing career, was raising a family. The kids came along. And actually, nothing has prepared myself and my family for this type of onslaught. This is a failed state. From where I'm sitting, I will tell you again, it has failed us. The state has failed us. Bishops have failed us. Justin Welby, 15 months before I was brutally attacked and almost killed, if it wasn't for the intervention of 2 Polish men, whilst I was getting in my car, being pummeled to death by pickaxe-wielding thugs, okay, for no other reason than converting to Christianity, my fundamental British right. What has happened to this country, okay? And Keir Starmer, if you're listening, you are a traitor to this country, to the British people, and you're a traitor to ex-Muslims in particular. You've signed my death warrant, along with the police, Bradford police, who vilified me, my family, for trying to protect my 4 daughters and my 2 sons, actually. I've done nothing wrong, okay? And it's just been survival, Martin. And may I add, actually, after 20 years of suffering, from 96, over 2 addresses, under the failed system of Bradford police, okay, just like with the rape victims, these poor girls, rape jihad. Let's get this in perspective, okay? Who turned a willful blind eye, threatened parents with arrest for no other reason than lamenting for their daughter's safety. This is the current state of Britain.
Nissar Hussain, may I first say I'm so sorry what happened to you. And as a British man, it gives me a great sense of shame you weren't better protected. I'm so sorry, and I send peace and love to you and your family. Can we now turn, though, to the here and now? When you hear that's new and there's going to be an anti-Muslim hate crime SAR put in place and a definition of Islamophobia, are you fearful, actually, that could give protection to the kind of people who came after you?
Absolutely. Look, this is deflection. This word Islamophobia, it was designed by the Muslim Brotherhood from the 9/11, the Twin Towers attack, to deflect from their appalling atrocities and to, to shut down debate. The fact is actually that we need to have a very serious conversation. 48,000 Islamic terror attacks over 70 countries since 9/11, and they dare tell me that Islam is a peaceful religion. There is a serious problem with Islam, and it needs addressing. Our British way of life, my family's life, has been disintegrated. We're under police protection for the last 9 years. I can't show my face in a city, in a town of this once amazing country for fear of reprisal or death, or something's going to come my way. Am I going to get mown down? Am I going to get acid thrown in my face? Am I going to get a drive-by shooter? So this is the reality, Martin, of this country. And the British people need to understand, under Islam, under Sharia, and Shabana Mahmood knows this. This is why I posed the question to your colleague last time, sir. Does she want me dead? Because under Sharia law, there are 3 cardinal sins: murder, adultery, and apostasy. Anybody that leaves Islam is a dead man walking. And that's where we're at. How can this be in this country, in the UK?
Nissar Hussain, once again, I'm so sorry what's happened to you, but thank you for having the bravery and the courtesy and giving us the time to tell your story on the show tonight. I sincerely appreciate that. Thanks for joining us on GB News, and please stay safe, and the same to your family. Nissar Hussain, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Martin. Thank you.
Pleasure. Let's talk to my panel. I'm still joined by Kwasi Kwarteng and John McTernan. Gentlemen, no matter where you stand on politics, that's a heartbreaking story to hear that. John McTernan, clearly, Nissar Hussain feels he's been abandoned by the establishment, an establishment which seems, let's be honest, to take the knee to the Muslim community all the time, and that's where we're at once again.
So obviously a terrible case. He clearly feels failed by West Yorkshire Police, and he should have a police service that protects him, just as it should protect everybody in West Yorkshire, and police service should protect everybody across the UK. But the question of, is there such a thing as racism against Muslim people? Yes, there is. Is there such a thing as anti-Semitism? Yes, there is. Should there be laws against anti-Semitism? Yes, there should. Should there be laws against Islamophobia?
There already are. We already have the Equality Act. They already enjoy protected status. The question is, does that need to be ramped up with this new legislation? The Free Speech Unions don't think so. I think it could give cover to dangerous people.
They're perfectly at liberty to take a case. Which they're doing. But are they against campaigns against anti-Semitism? Are they against laws that enforce anti-Semitism?
How many Muslim people are in hiding because they're getting battered by pickaxes because of Jewish people? Answer that question. 0, John. None.
No. If we have laws against anti-Semitism, we should have laws against Islamophobia. I think there should be equality.
So the problem many viewers will have with this is that, yes, we've got lots of religions in the UK. We've got Hindus, we've got Buddhists, we've got Christians, largely Christian countries still. And with this law and the anti-Islamophobia czar, whoever that might be, you're essentially privileging one religion over all the other religions. That's what it looks like. And, you know, I remember, just about old enough to remember, the life of Brian. Do you remember? With mocking Christianity, effectively. And that there was a whole debate about that. And people basically said blasphemy laws are outdated. We should be able to satirize religion if that's what we want to do. And that was in the interest of free speech. Today, we're turning the clock back to a world where some religions are privileged over others, and I think that's wrong. And
But
I
the
think
political establishment, and as we said, the Conservative Party didn't do anything to help the Batley Grammar School teacher either. It happened during the
but we didn't have an anti. Yeah, I mean, you can say that the Tory
Nobody
party
did anything.
So
Nobody reached out, because I put it to both of you, the political establishment in general is terrified of offending the Muslim community, perhaps for good reasons. Listen to Nissar Hussain story, but also because of votes.
Yeah,
There's been a shameful silence from the entire political establishment.
I think you're right. I think there is an element of fear. I mean, I hate to bring him up because he was a good man, but David Amess was a very well-liked colleague in the Conservative Party, and he was well regarded across the House of Commons. He was murdered by somebody who was doing it in the name of Islam. And that is a serious problem. And what Nissar Hussain said is absolutely true. He made a very good point as well about Islamophobia, that word. It's not a word that one heard 30 years ago, but it was clearly in the aftermath of 9/11. And there's a group called the Muslim Brotherhood. I've met the Muslim Brotherhood. I've met them in Cairo. I've met them in Egypt and other places. And they very cleverly, in my view, essentially repackaged Islamophobia as a way of, as he said, deflecting.
You think the term anti-Semitism is a clever packaging?
No, but Islamophobia the word didn't exist 30 years ago. The word did not exist, and somehow it exists now.
Hatreds exist, and they should.
Yeah, racism is terrible. Hatred, but there should be an equality of treatment of different religions. And my issue with this is that you're essentially
we don't have equality in our
prioritising.
country. We have an established church.
No, we have
a situation where the warfare and terrorism in our country. The Troubles, I'm old enough to remember the Troubles were over religion.
I agree, but you can mock Christianity. I mentioned the life of Brian. Many viewers will remember that. There was a whole debate about blasphemy.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you very much. We have to leave it there. We've simply run out of time.